Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am Christy Vann with Fantastic Finances, and on this channel we teach velocity banking. But today we're going to have my great friend Chris Noggle with us. He's going to be talking to us today about the infinite banking concept. If you've been watching the channel for any amount of time now, you know that this is my new favorite concept. Absolutely love this. I have grown so much in my own finances with using the infinite banking concept. And Chris is the one that really brings it. He has helped me learn so much in the last year and a half now, I guess, of using the policies. I've had policies for several years now, but he really cleared up what is happening with this concept and how it is not just a wealth builder, but it can also help you eliminate debt. And I'm excited about it. I want you to be excited about what you're about to hear here today and realize that, you know what, we are here to give you information, options, and it doesn't get any better than that. So I want my channel to be known as the channel that when you have questions about your money, you can come here and get them. And this is free information. You know, I'm always saying I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to help you. And Chris has such a good heart. I've learned to love Chris as we work because he has the same heart for the people that I do. And that is to get you the information you need about how to use your money in the best possible way. So welcome, Chris. Thank you so much for joining us again today.
Hey, thanks so much for having me on. It's always an honor.
I am super excited about what you're going to talk about today because you teach me something every time we meet. So I'm just going to turn it over to you.
All right. So, I mean, today, just like the screen says, I want to keep it really simple. A lot of people make money really complicated, and I used to as well. I got to tell you, I've been at all different levels of the money cycle. I've had money, I've lost it all, almost gone bankrupt. Then I've had it again and lost it all. And I could never figure out why it was. I could never figure the money game out. When other people that you see, sometimes it just seems so simple for them. Doesn't matter what's going on. They just seem to have money figured out. And it isn't always that they've got this great job or this business that produces all this money. They just knew something I didn't know. And, you know, it all came about me learning about this concept. I was out in Salt Lake City, and I was a real estate investor at the time. So I've done a lot of things, just so your audience knows. I used to be a pro snowboarder. Then I served time in Wall Street. I always say it that way. 16 years, I was a financial advisor. I retired in 2018 because my wife and I got a show on HGTV. It was called Risky Builders in 2018. It kind of forced a retirement of the financial advisor position because they wouldn't allow me to be a financial advisor licensed and also have a national television show. So that kind of broke me free. And when I was out in Salt Lake City, this is during when we had the show, and I was borrowing a lot of money from private lenders. And I sat down with this guy, Mike. And Mike was a real simple guy, but he came from a multi-generational real estate family. So they were, just to say the least, they were wealthy. So when I needed money, I would call Mike up and I would present my real estate deal to him, and he would fund the deal. This time I happened to be in Salt Lake City, which is where he lives. I was on a snowboarding trip, and I just called him up. I said, "Hey, Mike, let's get together. I got a deal I'd like to show you." And he invited me to meet him at Cheesecake Factory. But the whole story goes like this. This is my first time I was ever exposed to what we call the infinite banking concept, the concept pioneered by the late R. Nelson Nash back in the late 90s, early 2000s. That's when this concept came to be known to the masses, because what you're going to learn about today has been around for literally hundreds of years, used by the wealthiest families throughout history, from the Rockefellers to the Rothschilds, the Morgans, the Stanleys, Walt Disney, Ray Kroc, Pampered Chefs, Doris Christopher, and a bunch of politicians. So this is nothing new. But if you'll notice, all those names, with the exception of maybe Doris Christopher, all of them were wealthy families. They were people who had significant wealth. So this concept, which is in the past was known as privatized banking. So if you've ever heard the word privatized banking outside of your bank, that's what they're referring to, is what we're going to talk about. So it's nothing new, but it was always for the wealthy, never for the masses. R. Nelson Nash brought it to the masses. So the masses happen to be this gentleman, Mike. And I sit down with Mike at this Cheesecake Factory, and I don't know what came over me, but I just said, "Hey, Mike, how do you lend all this money?" Without a flinch, Mike said, well, I lend from my private banking system. And all I heard is private bank, right? That's what I heard. And all my mind thought is, holy crap, Mike has a bank. And I literally said to him, I said, so Mike, after lunch, can you take me to the bank? I'd love to see it. I should have then said, I want some of those dum-dum suckers. Because, every time you go to a bank, you get only one brand of sucker, and it's dum-dums. Anyway, joke, no joke, doesn't matter. But Mike said it, I got from my private bank. And I said, okay, tell me about it. And he goes on to tell me, and he says, all right, so I changed one thing. So I want you all to remember, and if you're writing something down, write down, change one thing. That's what he said. And that one change was where Mike's money went first. Then Mike said, once I changed where the money went, I wait for an opportunity like this one you're bringing me. So I brought him a real estate deal that he was going to lend on. And then he said, what I do is I go to my private bank and I take a loan from my bank and I give the money to you. Okay, so just remember, he changed where his money went first. He was no longer putting the money in a traditional bank. He was putting it into, at this time, I had no idea what it was, but his private bank, to which he also told me his private bank paid him guaranteed interest. So all I want to do is I want to kind of flip the screen here. He had a contract, and I'll explain. You can probably see it, what it is, but I want to just kind of go through it. He explained that where his money was, he got guaranteed interest, and it was contractually guaranteed. So in my mind, being a financial advisor at the time, I'm like, okay, guaranteed interest. I went through all the different vehicles that could pay guaranteed interest. Then he says he gets dividends every year, and he's always received a dividend. And I'm thinking, okay, guaranteed interest plus dividends. What could this be? He continued and said, okay, not only do I get guaranteed interest and dividends, I earn it tax-free, and it's protected against judgments and liens. So I'm trying to rationalize all these things. Where could this be that he's putting money? In my mind, I'm thinking treasury bonds. I'm thinking he's got treasury bonds because those pay guaranteed interest. Maybe he's got something else that pays dividends in a Roth IRA. I'm trying to build this idea in my mind. And then he tells me, he says, Chris, this is the thing that happens. He said, when I take a loan from my private bank and I give you the money, you pay me interest. So folks, think of this. If you had money and you wanted to lend it out like Mike was doing, you would take money from your traditional bank and you would lend it to me at an interest rate, which Mike did. He lent it out at 15%. So just remember, I'm paying Mike 15%. So how much money right now is Mike making in your mind? You're all thinking 15%. Mike tells me, you're paying me 15%, but I'm still earning interest and dividends on all of the money that I gave you. Now, right there, you should start thinking, that sounds too good to be true, because that's what I thought. I'm like, yeah, right. Where in the world can I put money, earn interest, guaranteed, plus dividends in a tax-free environment protected from judgments and liens, and still earn interest? Well, remember, you've heard the word compound interest, but so now this is uninterrupted compound interest. I'm earning interest on interest, or Mike was earning interest on the money, but yet he gave it to me. This is where I got really confused. And this is where the learning began for me. Now, at that present point, I had been a financial advisor for 14 years. Just think about this. 14 years. I knew a ton about stocks, bonds, mutual funds, pension plans, DB plans, qualified retirement plans, Roth IRAs. I knew all that stuff. I knew all about treasury bonds and how they worked and how the yields and all this complex stuff that, if you were understanding where I was saying, I could take you way up here, you would understand none of it. But then Mike's telling me this one simple thing, that he changed where his money went. He's getting all these great benefits. But then he really threw me off the rails, where he said he's still earning interest and dividends on the money while he gave it to me. Now, let me bring it down and explain exactly what it was, because at that time I had no idea, but that was the moment where everything changed for me, folks. Everything. You see, I learned something that day that I have continued to practice, that I had continued to apply to my life, my finances, my family, something that changed my life forever, and it changed Christy's life. And as of today, we have over 6,000 clients to which we've changed their lives as well. So this is not anything that is new, but I want to break it down so simply so you understand how this is possible. Let's go back to the beginning of what Mike said. He changed one thing, where his money went first. Well, where did it go? Some of you are probably asking that because I would be. I'd be like, well, where did your money go? Mike told me. It went into a specially designed and engineered whole life insurance policy that was designed and engineered to use it for this banking concept called the infinite banking concept. Remember, guaranteed interest, guaranteed death benefit, tax-free growth, dividends, loan provisions, access to cash value anytime you want. You all have heard of whole life, but you probably heard that it's the worst place you can put your money, to which that's what I thought. As an advisor, I was taught, don't put people in whole life, put them in term, and then invest their money, because that's how I got paid. So here's how it works. Now, let me kind of show you. I'm just going to draw this because I think a picture is worth 1,000 words. Let's see. There we go. We'll have to edit that little part out. So editors, cut that little time piece out. Yep, I got 5 minutes and I'm going to wrap it up. All right, let's get in. So what if I told you it's this simple? Here is that whole life policy, that specially designed policy that you changed where your savings went first. That's the one change. And then over here, I just talked about a real estate deal, but let's just say it's not just real estate. Let's say it was credit card debt. Let's say it was investing in the stock market. Let's say it was buying a car. It doesn't matter, folks, because all I'm doing is I'm showing you how to take control of your money the way that I learned that day, but I'm also showing you how to use your money and earn uninterrupted compounding interest. Effectively, this concept allows you to make money twice on the same dollar without changing anything in your life. You don't have to work harder, you don't have to work longer, and you don't have to take on any risk. It is a guaranteed concept. Back to Mike. He was putting his money in this whole life policy. The guaranteed interest his policy paid him was 3%. Okay. And then he received dividends on that, on his money as well. So his dividends and his guaranteed interest, they call that the dividend crediting rate, put him at right about 6%. Not a bad rate, right? Better than a bank account, better than CDs. But see, that wasn't what he did. I don't want any of you to think that this is the magic potion, that this whole life policy is going to be the saving grace for you. It's just a better place to store your money. And it's a better place all around because it's self-completing. Because remember, all death benefit or all whole life policies have a death benefit. Now, you might not think that's important today, but doing this now for 22 years, I've delivered more death benefits than probably anyone watching this. And I will tell you that is the only thing that matters at that time. But let's get back to today, not death benefits. Let's talk about how this works. So Mike, remember I said he took a loan from his private bank. His private bank was nothing other than a specially designed whole life. So he took a loan. I want you to remember that. Took a loan. Who did he take a loan from? Well, he took a loan from the insurance company. The insurance company loaned him money from their general account, but the loan came from his death benefit. So let's just say Mike had a death benefit of $500,000 and I needed $100,000 from Mike for this real estate deal that I was going to pay him 15%. So Mike goes into his portal, takes a loan from his whole life. Now, let me preface one thing. In order for Mike to take a loan for $100,000, Mike would have had to have saved $100,000. So that's the caveat. There's no magic hocus pocus here, right? You have to capitalize your banking system. So Mike needed $100,000 in his policy in order to take a loan for $100,000. But remember, I told you when Mike took the loan, he didn't take his money. He took the insurance company's money. So the insurance company lent Mike $100,000 of his $500,000 death benefit. I'm just doing this hypothetically. So therefore, if Mike were to pass away the next day, his family would only receive $400,000 because the insurance company advanced him $100,000 of the $500,000 death benefit. You see how this works? It's actually pretty simple. Therefore, Mike's $100,000 in cash value stays in his policy, continues earning that dividend crediting rate, that uninterrupted compounding interest, while he then lent the money to me at 15%. I then paid Mike monthly payments of 15% interest. So here's my payment that I made to Mike. And what Mike did is Mike, like any good banker, took the interest I gave him, that payment, and put it right back into the policy Think about that. So he put the money back into the policy. Every time he puts the money back in the policy, what is he doing? Well, he's repaying the loan. So if he started a loan with $100,000 in the first month, pause. I know, I'm almost there. I should have done the math first. I think I know what it is because I can do math pretty good, but I've made this mistake and then I would have been off too. Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3. He took that payment I paid him, which was $1,250, 15% on $100,000. And I paid him that monthly. So every month he puts $1,250 into the policy, he's putting it as a loan repayment. So now he doesn't owe the insurance company $100,000. He owes them $100,000 minus that $1,250 payment that I gave him in interest. Now here's the cool part. When he puts that $1,250 back into the policy, guess what? He has $1,250 immediately available to use. He lost no liquidity of his money. Very different than a bank, right? When you make a payment to a bank, the bank keeps the money. You don't get any of that. This is kind of like a home equity line of credit or like a line of credit. When you make a payment to principal, it reduces your balance and makes that money available. All you're doing is you're putting the money back in, repaying your death benefit, allowing that money to become available over and over again. All the while, you continue to make the money on your full cash value while you got to make money a second time. So now, let's just say you're not doing real estate. Let's say you're paying off debt. Same thing. Same numbers too. Let's say you had 15% credit cards, which would actually be really low. And I'm sure Christy's videos show you very unlikely that most folks have a 15% credit card. They're mostly over 20. So let's say we did the same thing. We had money in the whole life. We took it out to pay off the credit cards. It doesn't have to be 100,000. It could be 10 grand. Heck, it could be, I don't know, it could be 2 grand. It could be any dollar amount you want. And then you do the same thing. You pay the credit card off. You take the payment from the credit card, let's say it's $125, not $1,250, and you put that $125 a month back here. All I want you to understand is it's the same thing as you're doing today, except for today you're making the payment to the credit card company. In this strategy, you're making the payment to yourself, your private bank. You're in control. You lose no liquidity because every time you put $125 from that credit card payment, and remember, I want to be clear, that $125 a month, that's not new money. You didn't have to reach into your pocket, work overtime. That's money you used to give away because you made a credit card payment. Now, you're just changing the name on the check. You're paying that money to yourself. Just like I paid the money to Mike, but Mike didn't take it and blow it. He put it back in his private bank, repaying the loan, regenerating it, continuously making uninterrupted compounding interest. Folks, this concept is really simple. It's changing one thing and adding one step. And that one step is just this silly circle that I showed you. It's your money starting in your bank, going over to work for you, real estate, credit cards, buying cars, whatever. And then the money that you're giving away today to someone else, you just repurpose it back to yourself. And you do this over and over. That's what I learned that day, folks. That's what you're just starting to learn. Now, I do want to say, if you're just seeing this for the first time, if this is your first video, it won't be your last. There are lots of videos that Christy and I have done that will teach you the basic fundamentals. I just wanted to kind of give you this in a story form so you can see where it started for me, because this might be your starting place. And this might be the point where your life changes financially forever. And it won't be just your life. It will be your life, your kids' lives, your family's life, and multi-generational lives you don't even know exist today will be changed by the decisions you make at this present point.
Every time I hear this, common sense, and you brought up the children there at the last. I think that is the craziest part of this, is that if we teach our children that when even the death benefits come through on policies, that they are prepared to set those up, they're never going to need a bank to go back and get a loan off of. And that's one generation. So in one generation, as far as when the money starts passing down, if the legacy is set and we've taught our children how to do this banking system here, I mean, they'll certainly never go into mortgage debt. And I mean, I think that that is so encouraging even to me and why I do it today. Yes, I'm benefiting from it today, but to know that my kids, especially, if you have 100, 200, 300, $1 million policy going to pay out, wow. I mean, it just seems like that your generations after you are not going to want for anything because they know how to use the money now. And
Absolutely correct.
I love that. I love it.
I
So,
think the coolest thing too is a lot of people when they think about life insurance, they think, "Oh, I got to die for anyone to benefit," and
right,
that sucks. But
right,
here, you're using this as your banking system. You're taking back the banking function in your life. Yes, the guarantee is someday when you die, which we all will, and go on to a better place, someone is getting a tax-free death benefit check, and that someone is going to be your family to help them live the next generation and enjoy or build things that we were never able to in our current
right.
generation.
Exactly.
One other thing too, and I want to kind of preface the next video is I'd love to show your audience how I've done this for my daughter. My daughter's now 5, but when she was 6 months old, we started her first banking policy. So we set that up, and I want to just show your audience exactly what that did and what that actually is doing today and how we're using it at 5, but how we're going to use it for the rest of her life.
So I am so excited, Chris, that you came on today to share a little bit more of this wisdom with us and, get people started on the right way, the path they should be going with their money. Guys, you're going to see the link in the description below this video if you would like to reach out directly to Chris's team. And, look at your own numbers. Let's see what they can do for you because I think you're going to be super excited when you see just how your future looks if you're using this concept. So thank you so much, Chris, for coming on today.
Thank you so much for having me on.
You're welcome. And you guys feel free to reach out. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below the video because I look at them every day and I'm excited to hear your feedback. So thank you again for joining me. And I hope you guys have a blessed rest of your day.